Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Miss Marvel episodes 5 and 6, the finale. So yeah, we're not going to waste a lot of time here, mostly because I don't have as much time as I would like today, because I'm recording this Wednesday morning, and I'm also doing a stream this morning. So yeah. But I will say, where we ended off, Kamala had ended up in the past somehow. Whether through a vision or something else, she is within the time of partition, and we might be about to see some pretty heavy shit. I mean, it was already getting me really fucked up just from the little bit we saw last time. And yeah, I don't know exactly how this is going to end in these next two episodes. It just seems like there's a lot still, you know? But I trust that they'll tie it all up. This season has been great. And hopefully this ties into the upcoming The Marvels movie pretty damn well. So, that being said, we'll just see what happens and hope for the best. So, when the screen fades black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So these final two episodes didn't quite go where I exactly expected them to. But I really liked it, nonetheless. I actually think Najima and the Clandestines ending up being finished off in episode 5 was a really unexpected but good decision, I think. Having it end with the Department of Damage Control, I think actually works a little better for the type of story this is kind of going for it being kind of Kamala's just origin story. For it just kind of bringing her into things, I think ending with that works a little better. And don't get me wrong, the stuff with the Clandestines and the stuff with the history and the world building of all of this and the real life parallels, obviously, is huge and amazing. The partition stuff was phenomenally done. I can't, as I said last time, I believe, I can't speak from experience. I'm white. I cannot speak from experience here. I didn't go through that. I don't have family, to the best of my knowledge, who went through that. I can only go from the accounts that I've heard. And from everything I've heard, partition was hell. It was horrible. And seeing it portrayed as such seeing it portrayed in such a visceral way, honestly, like, it felt really heavy and really depressing. Like, you could feel all of that pain in every scene. And I think that they handled it well. I think that they made they made it easy to understand, even if you weren't in that situation. They made it clear what kind of what kind of a period that was. And I think that's important because a lot of us didn't learn about this stuff in school. At least not to this degree. We might have heard about it, but we never went through all of this learning about it. We never learned all these details and all this heavy nature of it. Hell, I didn't even really know what partition was until I was an adult. And seeing it in stuff like Doctor Who. It was featured in an episode of Doctor Who as well. And I hate that. I hate that this country is so one note in its history, and it's revisionist in its history too, to the point where so much important history throughout the world is ignored, especially history in countries like that, like Pakistan and India and the Middle East. It's terrible. And I understand they can't teach everything in schools. But there are some things that are like irrefutably insanely huge moments of human history that should be discussed. And just aren't. Because they're not about American history. Even when they teach world history, it's all about like world wars and stuff. And it's just like, I get teaching about that stuff too, but there's so much more they could teach. I just feel really disappointed with the American education system that I have to learn this stuff through media like Doctor Who and Miss Marvel, that I have to find out about this stuff and learn about this stuff as an adult after I've already graduated and stuff. It's not okay. And that's one of the many things that really needs to change with American history teaching. And just American education in general. But let's talk more about the actual episode. Or episodes. So episode 5 dealt with the history of things with Kamala's great-grandmother and how she formed her family, and we even get to see Kamala's Nani be led by the Trail of Stars back to her father during partition, which is something that's been talked about for the episodes in the past, and now we actually get to see it, and it's like powerful as hell. But we get to see the clandestines die, killed from the portal that is opened up. The rift does open. They technically succeed in their goal, but they can't go through it. It just kills them very brutally too. Like, it was actually kind of freaking scary. Like, their flesh is crystallized and then falls off, leaving their bones behind. And it's like, Jesus. It's like that's kind of scary. And then you have, of course, Kamala's mother and grandmother finding out. The grandmother already knew, but you see her mother finding out and accepting it. She doesn't argue with her. She doesn't fight with her about it. She doesn't start being overprotective again. She gets it. And she's proud of her daughter. And this trip, like, even before that, you could see it was helping her come to terms with the family issues that she had from how her mother raised her. And I really like how they handled that. The family issues and the resolutions to them felt really well done. as someone who has had family issues, though mine have been a little more severe than Kamala's have been a lot more loving still. um, as someone who's gone through family issues, though, it's like it did hit a point with me. And although it is very hopeful and everything with its ending, it's like, again, everything was still like set up in a way to where the family was never abusive, never over the top with all of that, and always were. It was always made very clear how much they loved Kamala and each other, and so it was never in question that this was how their part of the story was going to end. It felt natural to the progression of things. But they end up going back to America, and then all hell breaks loose with the with damage control. They end up chasing them down, and even though the one guy who's in charge of damage control, I don't know his name. I don't know if he has a name that's been directly stated. He probably does, but I don't know. But he's even telling the woman, it's like, stand down, get away, go. But she just ignores his orders and is like, we're still going to go after them. And so there's this entire sequence in the school with the plan Kamala and them put through. Even Zoe helps out. Zoe's great in this episode. Zoe has a great role to play. She fulfills it well. And we see that she was never like a really bad bully or anything. She was just a little ignorant and whatnot, but we see her come full circle, and she's fully in with them now, and she's a friend. She's a friend. But yeah, she helps out. Everyone helps out. Kamala's brother is there, and it's a great sequence. A lot of great action, a lot of great fun. Just the creativity with how they use the different things around the school to mess with the damage control agents. It was a blast. And Zoe's little live stream getting everyone to come out, everyone who saw it came out to the school to support them and everything, and yeah, it was just, I really loved all of that. And by the end, she finds out her identity as a hero. She gets her costume from her mother, and she gets her name from her father. And I think that's beautiful. I think that is genuinely beautiful. Because family is a massive part of this series. It is exceptionally ingrained in the identity of Miss Marvel. And so, showcasing it here and having them be the inspiration for her superhero identity is, I think, one of the best decisions they've made for this series. It just works on every level. It's beautiful, it's touching, and it feels believable and natural to the character and everything they've worked to make with her. And yes, we got an embiggen moment, and I geeked out. Because it's like, being a fan of Miss Marvel, even if not like to like a massive degree, prior to seeing this series, it's like that was always one of my favorite things about her personality and how she would use her powers and everything. And the embiggen catchphrase was always a part of that. And we've seen earlier in this season how she's used her powers in similar ways to where it felt similar to her original powers in the comics. But these episodes really hammer that in, especially episode 6. And it's like, oh yeah, this is classic Kamala Khan, classic Miss Marvel, just with a fancy new power set. But she's using it in much the same way. She even says embiggen. It's just like, it's so good. And then there's the post-credits scene. We finally get our Captain Marvel, our Carol Dan. I don't know if you heard that. A truck was going by and it was like I don't know if it was breaking or something, but there was like some squeakiness out there. But we finally got our Carol Danvers cameo right at the end when, for some reason, Kamala's bangle starts glowing and she and Carol switch places. Don't know what that means or what that's going to like go forward with, but that's going to directly tie into the Marvels, and I am so excited for that. But there's so much I could talk about with these 2 episodes, and it's hard to like go into everything. So if there's anything that you specifically want to hear my thoughts on or specifically want to bring up in the comments, please do. Especially since I don't have much time, I have to kind of close this up. I have to wrap this up. So just final thoughts on the series as a whole. This is my new favorite. This is my new favorite MCU series. It's not even a question to me. From the phenomenal acting on every level, the great story, the awesome coming of age, character development for Kamala, and just the scale of it. I actually like that it felt a little lesser in terms of its scale. It wasn't as heavy as other shows have been, like Loki or Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It was just a nice coming of age story with some superhero action and stuff in it. It got a little more intense in the second half, but it was still a little lower on that scale, and I like that. I think it fit. And now we're going to get to see how things progress in the future with all of this. But next month, I believe, August, another new series starts out for the MCU, and that is She-Hulk Attorney at Law. I will not be reacting to She-Hulk. I've decided that's going to be like most of these MCU series. I'm going to watch it on my own time. I'll do a first impressions review. But Miss Marvel, I wanted to react to specifically because it was Miss Marvel. And I'm so glad I did. But I'm also glad that I haven't reacted to all of these, because I feel like not all of them have necessarily needed it. Sometimes it's good to watch stuff on your own time too. But this one, I'm glad I chose this one to react to. And there might be more coming in the future that I end up reacting to. Who knows? Maybe the Ironheart series when that comes out. I would really enjoy to see Riri Williams come in and everything. And to see how she ends up becoming Ironheart. Because I actually don't know as much about her as I do with Kamala Khan. So I'm definitely a little more interested in that regard. Plus, I think usually in the comics, Iron Man is alive when she becomes Ironheart. So I'm curious how that's going to go down. But either way, tell me in the comments below what you thought of these final 2 episodes of Miss Marvel. And thank you so much for tuning in. As I had, I think I said it before with Hilda, but I'm leaving what's going to replace Hilda and Miss Marvel a secret. I am not revealing that yet. This is intentional, and they will be revealed when it comes next week. But either way, like I said, thank you so much for tuning in. I got to get going because I got to get the live stream going. So for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.